what is keeping you with bearded collies? Obviously, you fell for the breed. Like, what was it?
I did. And I mean, I think in general they fit I mean, I like to say they fit my lifestyle, even though I landed into them rather accidentally. And I mean, I don't think even, the people that I got my first dog from necessarily thought I was going to be this much of a crazy person in the end. I mean, everybody's super proud. They're the ones that got me started, but um, I don't think there weren't high expectations, right? Yeah, sure. I said I'd
Right.
show the dog. People do that. And I said I like to do agility. So maybe I was going to dabble. Certainly nobody I thought I was going to end up with
Going
a bunch of
full
them and
dog.
breeding and girls or anything else, or, even finishing a championship, let's just say. But um, I do think they fit my life. Also, I have at this point fit my life to them.
Mhm.
Grooming is not a big deal to me. And I look at other breeds, that have coats, and it sounds like they're more complicated. It sounds like poodle care is far more complicated because people see my dogs run around in the rain and get wet, and they go, "Oh my God, you're going to have to groom and blow dry." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. They're going to dry. The mud's going to fall off, and everything's going to be perfect again." Like that doesn't make them matte. Like it's a big
I'm
difference.
jealous.
As long as they get regular care, they can go swim and everything else, and they're fine. Like I might brush them out after they dry, but there's also no need to blow dry. So, that's a biggie. Like I mostly air dry, depending on the weather. So to some extent, like I'm in a grooming routine. The grooming stuff is
Mhm.
easy, but they're happy. They're eager to go on all the adventures. And I know there's other breeds that are like that too. I love the size. I love the size of the girls, especially. I started in boys. And so once I got into girls, I was like, okay, I'm getting a little older. Not that much, but still like the size is great for me. Like it's so
Yeah.
manageable. They're easy to pick up. They're easy to, honestly, like puppies being bad, pick her up under one arm and carry her away. Like I can just solve that problem. Um, so I do think like, we kind of fit each other's lives. And I was so painfully shy, so painfully shy, like terrified of talking to strangers, couldn't do a lot. When I got my first dog, and Beardies definitely,
They're very
um,
social.
Beardies are very social. And after a point, it's very difficult to be embarrassed because they've done it for you. My first breeder with my first dog, when I went to show for the first time, said, "Don't worry. Anything that happens to you has happened before. His grandfather bit me in the
I
butt in the
love that.
ring. If he humps you in the ring." My first dog used to hump me ringside before we walked in. It was like his stress mediate. They're kind of a humpy breed. It was his stress mediation strategy, right? And then he would walk in and show great. Waiting to go in the agility ring. And again, back in the day, we didn't have all of the okay, it didn't feel like we had all the training we do now as far as kind of reducing arousal and everything else. So they're like
Mhm.
super excited to go. And there's a fast border collie running in front of him, and he's like, "Gah." He would sit and hump me ringside right before we walked in for his turn because he kept his attention on me. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. It's fine. Like this is this is my life.
It's
But
fine.
they definitely like have made it a lot easier for me to be a generally normal social human or pass as one. Um, because they're just these happy outgoing dogs, and they really, there's things that other breeds are more sensitive about, and so herding breeds in general might be more sound sensitive, and that does run in a lot of the breed as well. So I'm not saying there isn't stuff, but um, a lot of the sensitivities maybe that you see in other breeds or struggles with certain things, beardies are just like, life is a party and everyone is my friend. So you're struggling sometimes with the very over exuberance of everybody is my friend, but that's a lot easier. Everybody is my friend. Other dogs, cats, other
Yeah.
animals, people. It takes away a lot of the stress about taking your dog out and doing things and living life when they're just going to be like, "This is great," to most things. And so I think we're a good fit, I guess, in that sense. And also because we're um, on the rarer side these days, in the sense that we really need to be out there, convincing people to get them or breed them. I don't want to give up on that hope just yet. Um, if like everything I have left doesn't pass health testing and I become utterly depressed, maybe I'll go, okay, what other breed needs me? But right now, this is kind of the best. There's there's times absolutely on TikTok, especially I watch some other people's breeds, and I'm like, maybe someday. There's a couple of people with
Yeah.
Chihuahuas, and I'm like, those look amazing, but you would get squished in my
Not right
house.
now.
But not right now. But like maybe someday, that's like something I would delve into. But right now, I feel like all of us are all hands on deck trying to kind of keep the breed afloat and going. I mean, numbers are down, not just here, but like in the UK, they're a vulnerable breed, and we're getting more science, we're getting the genetic testing, which helps us with diversity choices and that kind of thing. And we've been the breed club's been actively supporting research on autoimmune disease and all of that kind of thing so that we can reduce some of that. Again, it comes down to like just our small gene pool being resuscitated after World War II. But whatever we can do, I feel like there's still hope of trying to do it, and I don't want to give up on that hope either. So there's a little bit of that like bigger purpose, but also I think they're super fun and they're freaking cute. And there's something fun about taking a whole herd of shaggy dogs out in public and being like, yes, this is my life, actually.
I love that.
Plus,
Okay,
they're
you
so
just
good
said
at they're so good at trying all the sports, and that's super fun for me too. Is having dogs that are just up for anything.
oh yeah. Okay, you just mentioned something I've never heard of before. What happened with Beardies in World War II?
So, with a lot of breeds, nobody was breeding them during World War II, right? Because they were, especially I think in the UK, but I think some of Europe was hit with some of this in also because I've heard this with other kind of European breeds in that the numbers were really decimated because breeding didn't happen. Food was in short supply, people were fighting a war, whatever
Oh,
else, and so um, Beardies. We can't actually say where Beardies started, but there were always these kind of shaggy dogs in the Highlands and the Lowlands in Scotland. They're in historical pictures and stuff going
yeah,
forever back. Um, and then after World War II, this, I'm going to say she's in Scotland, but I'm not really sure. This particular lady sent mail ordered for a Sheltie and accidentally got sent a Beardy puppy instead and was like, what is this? And then mail ordered another one and bred them together. And so they kind of were pulling what was left and kind of restarted the breed in an actual formal sense. I think they had been in shows a little bit before World War II in a tiny way in the way that shows existed then, but not a lot.
right.
It was really, we're talking about a very small number of founding dogs of the modern version of the breed. And we still have there are still some working lines in mostly in the UK. They're a little mixed here and there with border collies, but probably the originals were too to some extent. But there's various shaggy working beardies, and I still think that's an untapped area for us because they're not pedigree registered.
Right.
There are ways to do that. Like I know someone there are certain countries that allow you to kind of show them and kind of test in. And like I know
Mhm.
I know one that was done like that in Germany, and then people have bred to that dog. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
fascinating.
there's somebody who has like spectacular agility working beardies, and they I believe won't export to the U.S. Which is probably understandable, but um,
I get it, but also
there's
I'm
some,
sad.
but there's some like great lines that not everybody wants to go that route. Let's go with that in the way of these various outcross projects and stuff. But it's certainly something that I think is an intriguing possibility if we hit an absolute end stage bottleneck. Like there's other populations out there, and figuring out now that we have more genetic testing, and even across different countries with within
Yeah.
the registered dogs, figuring out different ways to combine things to make to improve our situation in that sense, or try to reduce disease rates or something. Like I'm excited about the possibility and just seeing like where we've gone in my time in the breed with that.
Yeah. God, science is cool.
Yeah. Like, you can tell, I mean, I'm a scientist anyway, so like I dig that stuff. I think it's exciting to see how we can improve health in our dog breeds and stuff because so
Yeah.
much of the research, most of the research, I'm going to say on a lot of these things has really been funded or started by the breed clubs.
Yeah.
Nobody was going to look at like the rates of certain relatively obscure autoimmune diseases unless those breed clubs really pony up to support it.
So how then would you say if someone was looking, or like if they've heard this and they're like, okay, maybe Beardies are maybe they're my heart breed. Like I want to
Mhm.
try one out. How would they go about finding a good breeder? I mean, obviously you, but it doesn't sound like you're going to be breeding anytime soon.
I got a while. My kid's got to grow up. So there's the National Breed Club, and they do litter listing and breeder listing. Um, and so you get the people that are members of the club and have signed the code of ethics and everything. So that's certainly like a base good starting point. I do think it helps to go meet a lot of them. Not that I did it. Do as I say, not as I do. But it helps to go meet a lot of them and get to meet a lot of the breeders too, right? And so um, if there's a chance to attend a specialty, and so we have like a few on the West Coast, a few on the East Coast, and wherever the national is held. Like I know that's a lot of work for people to get to, depending on where they live. But getting to go and meet like dozens or a huge entry of them and see them at all different ages and talk to like a lot of different owners and breeders and learn about kind of the range of what they're like or the range of what different lines are like, I think is the for a more educated buyer, which I wasn't at the time. I mean, I was even looking at like Yahoo ads, but I ended up thankfully going through the breeder referral of my local club. Um, so I did okay, even though I didn't know what I was
Hey,
doing in 2002. Um, but I think that's the best way to kind of get to know more of them, get to see what the coat's like at different ages, like get to see the hands-on of like how grooming is done. That's if you can do the all-inclusive experience, that's kind of it to get to meet a lot of people. And I would say most of us, not everybody, but most of us make a huge effort to get to our national. No more, people will drive across the country to try to go to the national. Um,
that's so cool.
I would say those of us west of the Mississippi did not go this year. And but in general, people really try to gather as much as possible. And that's just a good way, I think, with any breed to really delve in, and also gives you a little sense of what the culture and the people are like. And in
Oh,
general,
that's a
I
good
think
point.
I think in general, beardy people are very welcoming and very eager to like sell people on their breed, even though, you know, like there was there was a beardy in the remake of the Shaggy Dog with Tim Allen some years back. And so the breed club came out with a huge educational thing about, yeah, you thought that dog looked cute, but here's what you need to know. So even though like you ask an average dog person, I think about their breed, like the breed enthusiast anyway, and they're like, well, they're bad at this is bad, and grooming is hard and whatever. um, we're still really eager as a breed community,
Yeah,
beardies anyway, to like sell you on this breed and how great they are. And if we don't know, like we don't have something, we're going to try and figure out how to help you find something. And like I have a good friend that's kind of been waiting for like his perfect future girl, and I'm like, we're going to find you something. We're going to figure it out. But it's got to be the right thing for you because I know what you want. But there's this year was a baby boom. Like I was definitely having a litter in
oh,
like we had a huge baby boom, which is great. We had a lot. And I don't know, people don't advertise their plans so much in advance. I know different breed communities are also different on that. And I think people are really, people get really down about missed breedings, obviously, and it can be hit or miss with this breed in that sense, because we have distance, because we're not driving to like the next place over to just breed live cover to something, because we're so spread out. There are increased chances of missing on a lot of your breedings, and so people are very sensitive about that. Like I know it's heartbreaking when it happens, and they're done that too many times. Um, so you don't always know in advance, but I'm hoping this next year will be another good year for us because we really do need the numbers.
so what is number wise? What is considered like an endangered breed? Or you used a few specific terms, I
I
think.
don't know. I know, so UK vulnerable breeds, I'm not sure what the registration number, like what the number has to be, but I know that it's way, way, way down in the last few years over like historic numbers. There used to be huge entries for beardies in the UK
Mhm.
and huge numbers of litters. And so the other problem is obviously our population is aging. This is a common dog fanciers thing, right? Our population is aging. It's harder for people don't keep dogs in the numbers that they used to, but it's also harder to keep dogs that are maintenance work and breed litters, as your body is beginning to fail on that a little bit. Um, and I don't
Didn't think
don't
about
know what
that.
our I don't know what the numbers in the US are either, but I know that again, our registrations are down dramatically over 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Like when I know basically every litter that's happened in the country for the year,
Okay, yeah.
like we all know each other, so when I know basically everybody who had puppies, and I'm telling you it's a good year and it's still probably nothing compared to what it was a decade or two ago. um, it's just we have to have enough to sustain the breed, but also we need people keeping boys, right? I think that's a common theme with other breeds too, is that we have to have boy options, and stud dog shopping is always miserable because you're like, they every boy went to a pet home.
Oh,
Right? Like, because a breeder wanted to keep a girl or something. And I don't have a problem with, if the pedigree is a match, if the temperament is great, if health testing is passed, and I'm confident on the structure of the dog. Like, I don't have a problem breeding to somebody's pet necessarily. We'll call it a pet, but like, you know what I
yeah.
mean? There's people that'll breed like a dog will go do agility and that's it. And somebody will breed it. And again, if it's got the right things, if it's the right match for what I have, I don't need it to be a grand champion or something else. And we all learn when we're in this world. And I'm sure, I know in my early years in dog shows, I was like, oh my God, they bred a dog that wasn't a champion. No judgment on that now. I was an idiot. I'll say that because there's so much more to it. And we can't, our show entries are down a lot. It's hard to find the points. It's hard to gather the people and get everybody in the same place. We're so spread out across the country. I have to go over 1,200 miles in one direction or another to get to a specialty because there's nothing in the middle. Um, and so, and we can't afford to be that picky, basically. But like, if there's the right dog and it's a nice dog, like I'm happy to look at it. But you have to know that they exist too. So
Yeah.
we've done various things over the years. We had for a while created like a stud dog group on Facebook where people could put dogs up and their info and their health testing and stuff. And that kind of died off a little bit. AKC has initiatives of like donating semen. Again, it'd be love. Like, could we have registries to know what people have that's frozen from like old stuff? That would be amazing.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
Um,
cool.
because nobody knows what everybody has. Like, I have old frozen, other people have old frozen, but I don't think everybody talks about.
I was gonna
Um,
say, because weren't you able to collect some from Stanley?
I have frozen Stanley, but I also have frozen Max because Stanley
Oh,
sired a few litters. But I have frozen from my first dog that I would like to use someday.
that's
Um,
cool.
yeah,
I
yeah. I
vaguely
mean,
remember you making a TikTok about that a long time
I
ago.
never I never even thought about breeding him because like I kind of showed him I finished his championship. I was like, you're not the kind of dog that I'm gonna put on a handler and special. They're all like kind of bigger coats and whatever else at the time period, and they probably still are, but we wanted to go do agility. But I mean the dog lived to almost 16, healthy as can be the entire
That's
time,
amazing.
outlived all of his counterparts of those days by years and years. you know, I was like, I collected him once because we were like, well, what if the dog gets hit by a bus
May as
tomorrow? Like,
well.
you should have something saved, right? And then I didn't think about it, and I never thought about collecting him more. Thankfully, he gave me a spectacular collection, so I have multiple breeding units if I ever want to use them. But yeah, but nobody
So,
talks about what they have, so you don't know what else is
so
out there.
this is a question that I'm going to ask, and I obviously this is not the part of the dog world I am very knowledgeable in. Who stores the collections?
Canine semen banks have
Okay,
have freezer
I,
units and do it.
there
Yeah,
was a very split
yeah.
second I thought that you guys did this at your houses,
Oh
like
God,
you
no,
kept
no, not
going
for
in.
frozen.
I'm like, oh my god, what happens if the power goes out?
There are, I think, no, because it's like in liquid nitrogen kind of thing.
Oh,
It's
okay,
like
cool.
it's like deep frozen. These facilities are like super controlled, and yeah,
That's really neat.
I think where I have Stanley stored was they had a wildfire near there a year or two ago, and they were like, "We are ready if we have to evacuate the tanks," kind of thing. Yeah, every so often, like there's some sort of a loss at one of these places, but for the most part, it's really well controlled, and they're the same
That's
ones
so
that do the collections, and some of them can do like a mobile thing at shows,
mhm.
or they just have actual physical locations. But
That's super cool.
yeah, yeah. So I have like one dog in Oregon and one dog in California, just because it was the Oregon people doing the dog show that weekend, I
Yeah,
think. But
it's
um,
amazing.
I know, it's so weird. It's like such a weird thing. Like the first time seeing it, it's all very strange, and then you just get used to it and you're like whatever. There's nothing clean and tidy about dog
Oh,
breeding.
absolutely not.
Maeve's in flaming season right now. She was supposed to have a spay appointment in a few weeks, and she decided to just do this instead. So
Eat one more time.
it'll be a few months, but I'm like there's nothing clean and tidy about any of this.
My childhood Basset, we didn't have her spayed till she was 8 And I remember just like following her around with the cleaning supplies and just cleaning up after her cycle. I'm like, what?
The
Why?
upside of multiple girls is they help with that. Again, it's gross.
That's amazing.
It's dogs. It's a
We
whole nother
just,
world.
it really is. And it's fascinating because it's like,
And mostly,
I
mostly
always,
my girls keep themselves tidy, so it's not actually that bad. But
well, so, and I was used to like what Lowrider had. And so when we were waiting for Dolly for her joints to settle before we spayed her, and so I'm like keeping an eye out when she turned about 6 months old. I'm like, all right, when's it going to happen?
right.
One single dot of blood, all we ever found. Turns out she
Mhm.
had silent heats.
Okay.
That's how I learned what that term was. So I
Yeah.
was like,
Well, and they don't all come in at 6 months. Like I know it's so weird every
they
time.
also had like eight
It's weird
months
because I've had
too.
to actually educate vets on this, because, like, they don't all come in every 6 months, and they don't all come in at 6 months, and so you have to kinda know your lines and what they do, right? So, I think Astrid came in at 10 months, and then she was roughly an every 10 or 11-month girl. Maeve
Wow.
comes from lines where they cycle once a year. There's a lot of lines where they cycle once a year. Um,
Whoa. Didn't
Maeve
know that was a
was a
thing.
little bit more. Sorsha did not come into season until 18 months. She had her first heat at 18 months. I thought it was
Wow.
never going to happen, but we were so busy with life, well, a pandemic and then life, that I just didn't pay it. It was like, it's fine, it'll come when it comes. And I didn't think about it. She came into season at her first national. Um,
Of course she did.
yeah. So, yeah, Delilah's turning 7 months old this week. And I'm like, well, this is about the age your mom came in, and your mom is in right now. So that might pull you along, which I think is part of why she's having like lots of feelings right now about certain things. Um,
Understandable.
but like, no way to know till it happens. And then, it's why I keep detailed records, because I'm like, there's no way I would know what
You're
their
not going to
intervals are
remember
like
that.
until I watch them for a while.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And Sorsha has been an every 18-month girl after that 18 months. So she was 18 months and then
Okay.
3. So they all do their own thing for sure.
I've never heard of a dog waiting that long to go into heat.
I think I have with some of our sighthound friends. I
Okay.
think like some of the folks we know, maybe with like Salukis or whatnot, have talked about that
Hmm.
they take like a while longer, over a year, and then they might cycle like more like that
Fascinating.
every year, a bit longer thing too. But yeah, I mean, with Sorsha, I figured she was always so fit, so lean that like it took a while
I
for her
wondered
body to
if keeping
bother.
them lean would, because like obviously with humans that's a
You would
thing.
you would think so, but look at the junkyard dogs that are starved and go into season and have like
Yeah,
12 puppies. We always
fair.
joke like here we are working so hard to thoughtfully create these litters, and like you're lucky it worked. You feel lucky it worked anyway. And meanwhile, somebody's like dog in an alley has like 12 puppies on like eating out of a dumpster or something, starved,
It's just like how.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sad and frustrating and also hilarious.
Yeah. No, I mean, what are you going to do except laugh? But yeah, of course, like you put so much into it, and that's why it's like if it doesn't work, it's so
It's
heartbreaking
heartbreaking.
because you've invested so much time, energy, money, everything into it. And I know, like, when I've had misses, they've been after my dog's already had a litter. My girls have always taken on the first try. So then it's an extra kick in the pants when it doesn't happen the next time, because you're like, I already knew this dog was fertile, right?
Yeah,
But there's, timing, there's
goodness.
semen quality, there's
There's so
everything.
much.
Yeah. And sometimes I think things just aren't meant to be. But like one of my misses with Astrid is the reason I have Maeve. So everything works out for a reason, I
Right.
think.
All right. Well, Molly, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you had half as much fun as I did.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
And
Thank you for inviting me.
of course, I have no idea when this is going out.
No
So I
worries.
can't even give you the beginning of a timeline.
No worries.
But thank you so much. And we will talk to you on TikTok, I guess.
Okay,
Oh, is
awesome.
there anything you want to plug that you've got coming up?
Uh, Absolutely not. Survival.
Totally fair.
I'm surviving with 4 dogs right now, okay? I'm going on a business trip for one day this week, and it's gonna kill me.
You can
Um,
do it.
I know. I'm literally taking a red eye, so I'm away from my dogs less time.
Oh,
But and it's gonna be cold, crappy weather. So yay me. No, I'm just in survival mode with dogs, trying to get through the holidays and train this puppy, and everybody gets to hear about it because I apparently blab now, so a lot.
I like it.
I like our online life where we can blab about these things to people so that our real life family doesn't have to hear about it.
I think it helps.
Yeah, it's my therapy. Let's go with that.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have an awesome night, and we will talk later.